a chair over for you?
No, I can grab it. Thank you. Great. Can everyone hear me okay? Great. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here today, and I'm happy to share with you some rationale why we should use stress management techniques, and we're going to experience some together today too. So, how many of you have ever been stressed? How many of you are stressed right now? Yeah, you're in the right place. All right, great. It's estimated that 60 to 90% of doctor visits are for conditions related to stress. So there's some good news. We can do something about this. We like to use this image of a three-legged stool to demonstrate overall health. And every leg of the stool is important. Absolutely, we need pharmaceuticals. Sometimes surgery is warranted. But this third leg of the stool, which stands for self-care, is sometimes underdeveloped. And what falls under that are things like getting a good night's sleep, exercise, eating well, and stress management. So I'd like to have a dialogue, a little conversation. The word stress is ubiquitous. Everybody knows it, hears it. But how would you describe it? You can just kind of popcorn out answers. What comes to mind when you think about stress? Feeling anxious? Tension, physical tension in the body. Yeah, a sense of overwhelm. Yeah, your heart rate goes up for sure.
Health problems.
Yeah, having health problems.
Nausea
Nausea and
and bloating.
bloating, right? So teasing out what's going on. Great. So here's a definition that we like to use for stress. It's the perception of a threat to the physical or psychological well-being, along with the perception that we don't have the responses adequate enough to cope with it, right? So that sense of overwhelm, there's too much going on, I can't do this. But a key word in this definition is the word perception, right? So we're not going to be able to get rid of all of our stressors. Stress will continue to happen, but maybe we can build our resiliency and our stress hardiness so that we feel like we can handle it better. Our perception shifts. So, what are some stressors that are particular to midlife, or maybe not particular to midlife, but let's just name some stressors.
Our children.
Your children, yep. Everybody's going, jobs, aging parents, right? So you might be that sandwich generation of caring for your parents and raising children at the same time, for sure. Yep. College payments, yep. Finances in general. Anything else?
Illnesses.
Yeah, illnesses, whether they're your own, not feeling well, or having symptoms particular to midlife, not sleeping well, hot flashes, etc. Or if you're caring for loved ones and their illnesses. Right? So I think we might have hit them all. I just put some suggestions up there, but even just the day-to-day of managing the household, right? Like, I gotta get the groceries done, I gotta clean, I gotta get the birthday card in the mail, right? It all adds up. Dealing with partners, spouses, maybe, sometimes that's stressful, right? Okay. So how does stress show up in your body? For you or just in general? How does stress show up?
Ice cream.
Ah! Eating ice cream. Perfect. Yeah, so behaviorally, what do you go for? The ice cream. What else?
Fatigue.
Fatigue. Neck pain or any pain. Yeah. Stomach pain. Back pain.
Inflammation in your body.
Yeah, you got it. Inflammation in your body. Yeah. So basically, here we are. The stress response is that fight or flight response. And this is a very unlikely, thankfully, example. But say someone wants to unleash a tiger in this room, what would be going on in your body? Right? Tension, bracing for action. How's your breath? Non-existent. You're holding it. Shallow, rapid, right? Where's the blood going in your body? Your hands get cold because where's your blood going? Yeah, your heart, your brain, yeah, your vital organs, and your large muscle groups, so you can fight or flight, right? Where's your attention? Are you looking at the PowerPoint when there's a tiger in the room? No, right? It's on survival. Like the tiger, where's the door? Can I get a chair? Maybe some of you are going to fight it, right? So it's the same. We're not literally dealing with tigers in the room, But all those stressors that you mentioned still had that same effect on us physically and mentally too, right? There's a tiger in the room. Are you thinking things are going to go well? Things are not going to go well, right? So we still have that negative outlook, right? That, or defensive conditioning, like, oh my gosh, I have to be on guard here, okay? So it's a fun question. How many times do you think the quote-unquote average person goes into the stress response each day? And what I mean by that is that kind of body bracing for action. It could be as simple as, oh, did I send that email, right? Or, oh, I can't believe she said that in the meeting, right? How many times do you think the average person goes into that each day? It's fun to guess. 4, 5, 10. I feel like an auctioneer. Any higher? 30. Any other guesses? 40, yeah. Getting up there. It's estimated 50 times a day. So let's break it down. So if we look at this chart, you can think of each peak on the chart as being activated and getting into the stress response, that oh no response. What's your first stressor of the day? The alarm clock, right? You haven't even gotten out of bed yet. Boom, there's one. What might be your next stressor of the day? You're running late. Okay, let's go with that. There's so many options, right? Let's just go with that, right? Maybe you can't find the outfit that you wanted, or you're trying to get kids out of the house, or the dog, right? You're running late. What might be another stressor? Traffic. So before you've even gotten to where you need to go for the day, you've already gone into the stress response 3 times. So you can see how it can build up quickly, right? Ideally, we want to have an adaptive response to our stressors, and that's illustrated by the bottom graph. So what I mean by that is our body braces for action when that stressor kicks in, but then we return to baseline, meaning things are at homeostasis, our breathing, our heart rate, our muscle tension, right? Then the next stressor, and we go back down. Most of us have a maladaptive or a not helpful response to stress. So say you didn't get a good night's sleep the night before, and then the alarm clock goes off, right? Then you can't find the outfit that you want. You're dealing with other people in the traffic, right? So we're not going back to homeostasis. It's that chronic stress building one on top of the other. So as I mentioned, we're not going to get rid of those stressors, those little blips on the screen, but hopefully we can learn some techniques to bring us back to baseline. So let's just take a deep breath right here, right now. Sometimes talking about stress can make us feel stressed. So the good news is there's the counter to that, and Dr. Herbert Benson coined the term the relaxation response. Anyone ever read this book? Yeah, it was published, in the 70s. So back in the 70s, he was studying people who practiced meditation. So this was a group of people who practiced transcendental meditation. Anyone ever hear of that before? Yeah. So what that is people would recite what was called a mantra, but essentially like a phrase to themselves over and over again. And they felt like just by doing this simple act that they could change their physiology, but they had no way to prove it. So they approached Dr. Benson, and he jokes, meditation was hardly mainstream back in the 70s at Harvard Medical School, but sure enough, through his research, he found that just by doing this act of meditating, they could reduce their blood pressure, their heart rate, their breathing rate. So this had wonderful implications for people's heart health, but also not only for people's heart health, but for any health condition that is exacerbated by stress. If we can use these techniques, it can help decrease symptoms in general. And also it doesn't have to be, he did further research, it doesn't have to be a certain mantra. It could be any focus, a repetitive focus. So we'll talk more about that. So essentially, when we're in the stress response, all these things increase. And when we take time to practice and elicit the relaxation response, it's the opposite physiology. So what is the relaxation response? Well, it is a physiology, and it's obtained by paying attention to a repetitive or absorbing stimulus that turns off the inner dialogue of the mind and decreases arousal of the sympathetic nervous system. So what does that mean? Have you ever been in bed at night and you just can't get off that hamster wheel of thinking, right? And so this is a way to get us off that everyday train of thought. Gently putting thoughts to the side and coming back to a focus, whether it's your breath or a word or a phrase. And when we do that, we get out of that stress response, the sympathetic nervous system, and tap into the relaxation response, the parasympathetic nervous system. So the stress response is automatic, thank goodness, right? We need it. It's vital for our livelihood. When the tiger enters the room, we don't scratch our head and say, what should I do? Just kicks in. The relaxation response is innate physiology within us, but oftentimes we have to create time to elicit it. Sometimes we can tap into it just by maybe enjoying a sunset or patting our cat, right? But oftentimes we need to create time to do this. So how do we do that? Well, it would be great if you always had a comfortable position, but sometimes we don't. Like you may not find these chairs to be the most comfortable, but we can still do it, right? It would be great if it was always quiet, but sometimes it's not. Here we are at Mass General. You know, there's going to be sounds where our office is located. There's often sirens and horns and traffic. Doesn't matter. We can still practice eliciting the relaxation response. What's most important is finding a focus, whether it's a word, a phrase, or even an image, gently repeating that to yourself, and then passively disregarding any intruding thoughts. So a lot of people have this common misconception that to meditate or to relax, we need to stop thinking. You know, I can't stop thinking, so I can't do it. So it's not the ceasing of thoughts, but the releasing of thoughts. Just, thoughts will enter your mind. Your mind's just doing its job of thinking. But for this time that you're practicing to elicit the relaxation response, you gently, without judgment, put the thoughts to the side and come back to your focus again and again. And that's it. So some benefits of eliciting the relaxation response can help reduce tension in the body, helps quiet the mind, that busy mind, helps us to focus because we're training that, bringing our attention back again and again, and gets us out of our conditioned responses, right? When we're in the stress response, our anticipation is like negative, bad things are going to happen. We might be defensive. And so by practicing these techniques, we might respond differently to things rather than reacting to them. It also can help promote creative problem solving. Kind of like that cliche, I get my best ideas in the shower when we're in a relaxed state. Sometimes some insights will come in that we haven't thought of with our thinking mind alone. A little research on the benefits of eliciting the relaxation response. It can even change our gene expression. So the genes that control antioxidant activity, inflammation, as we mentioned, we know inflammation has a large part in a lot of health conditions, and aging. So it suggests that those who practice the relaxation response have a greater capacity to respond to physical stress and the associated cellular damage. And these changes were seen in as few as 8 weeks of practice. Another study showed that the cerebral cortex was larger in people who practiced meditation. And so the prefrontal cortex thickness were more pronounced in older participants, which suggests that meditation might offset age-related cortical thinning, which naturally happens as we age. So some good reasons to give it a try. So we can do this through different techniques: diaphragmatic breathing, meditation, imagery, mindfulness, yoga, tai chi. And so I thought we'd just try a real brief one now, right? Because learning through experience is helpful. So I'd like to invite you to just get comfortable where you are, yet put things to the side. You can, if it's comfortable for you, you can rest your feet on the floor so you feel grounded and supported. Do any little wiggles or movements that your body needs. You can rest your hands in your lap or on the arms of your chair. If you like, you can close your eyes. If you'd rather not, you can just lower your gaze. Just allow any sounds in the room to be as they are. Feel your feet resting on the earth. Feel your legs and back supported by the chair. Begin to notice your breath as it comes in and out. Easy, comfortable breaths. Each time that you exhale, maybe consciously relaxing a little more. In your mind to yourself, repeating these words, maybe in rhythm with your breath, breathing in, breathing out. Gently repeating that phrase to yourself. And whenever thoughts enter the mind, gently let them go. Come back to your breath and the phrase. Letting sounds be as they are. No judgment. Just returning to your phrase and your breath. Now saying that phrase one more time to yourself and let it go. Sensing your breath. Feet on the earth. Body supported by your chair. Feel free to do any little wiggles or movements. Your eyes are closed. Very gently open your eyes. Back to the room. And just notice how you feel. Anyone feel a little different than when you first walked in this room? Some head nods, show of hands. Any words to describe how you're feeling now? Calm. So 8 weeks can make a difference. Little something each day, starting with 5, maybe working up towards 20 if you can. There's a lot of resources out there, meditation apps, YouTube videos, CDs to listen to. Right? So just resetting, getting off that mental train of thought, coming back. And not only will you feel relaxed right afterwards, but it'll have a cumulative effect. So you find that after several weeks of practice, things just kind of roll off your back a little easier. have that hardiness to deal with them. Right. So I want to share one other technique that can help with stress reduction, and that's the benefit of laughter, right? Do you ever have a girlfriend who you're so stressed out and she just kind of cuts through it all with a good joke and teases you and you just laugh and it just lets things go? So some benefits of laughter: decreases our stress hormones, releases endorphins, those feel-good hormones, right? Boosts our immune system. We get a little bit of a cardiac and abdominal workout, right? 10 to 15 minutes, right? You're like, I'm going to eat that cookie, and I'm just going to laugh a little bit and burn it off, right? So just briefly to tell you about, anyone heard of laughter yoga? Yeah. So this is based off the work of Dr. Madan Kataria. He's a medical doctor in India, and he was researching all these health benefits of laughter. And so what he found out, it doesn't have to be humor dependent to still have those health benefits. We can basically laugh for the sake of laughing, and our body will still get the same benefits. So the yoga refers to union, right? We connect with others when we share a laugh, brings us together. A typical laughter yoga session intersperse laughter exercises with breathing techniques, and your body can't tell the difference, as I said, between this kind of fake it laughter and genuine laughter. But what ends up happening is you do the exercises and you end up laughing in earnest. So really trying to cultivate childlike joy. And so it started with 5 people in 1995, and now there's over 1,600 laughter clubs in over 80 countries. So, right? So here's a statistic. How many times do you think adults laugh each day? 5. Any others? 10, yeah. Estimated between 10 to 15 times a day for adults. How many times do you think children laugh each day? 300 to 400 times a day. So let's boost our numbers right now. So we'll be doing just a couple exercises. So right in the comfort of your chair, you're going to put things down. You don't need anything in your hands. And we're going to imagine that we're so busy and stressed out that we want to cry. But instead of crying, we're going to laugh instead. So we're going to do it 3 times. We're going to lean forward and pretend to cry, and then we're going to throw our arms up at the sky as best you can in the seat you're in and laugh your head off. Okay? We're going to do it 3 times. So join me in crying. And now laugh. So join me with ho, ho, ha, ha 3 times. Ready? Ho, ho, ha, ha. Ho, ho, ha, ha. One more. Ho, ho, ha, ha. And then another chant. Very good. Very good. Yay! So let's do it again. Ready? Very good. Very good. Yay! And then just a big breath in. Arms up. And down. Yeah, 2 more times. Last. Wiggle, shake. Feel a little different? Yeah. Go ahead and sit down when you're ready. And so my colleague jokes about we have to pay to go to laughter yoga sessions, right, to laugh. So a typical laughter yoga session would be an hour long of doing these different exercises and breathing techniques, and you can imagine it can definitely lift your mood, right? But other ways you can bring laughter into your life, sharing jokes, watch things that make you laugh, listen to funny podcasts or comedians. I go on Pandora and have a comedian station as I'm getting ready in the morning and laugh about that. Read things that make you laugh and spend time with people who can make you laugh. Maybe even just spending time with children, because that'll boost our numbers up. So, yeah. So don't forget to laugh. Don't forget to breathe. Thank you so much for your attention.